FHA loans have been an outstanding option for first-time home buyers for decades now. They allow families with less than perfect credit as well as limited funds in order to access home ownership, and that's outstanding, and including my own family. In fact, here's our first house that Sharon and I bought together back on 4444 Hegar Place. We love that address, and we really wish we would have kept that house in today's market. But nevertheless, the FHA loan was available for us when we first got married, and our credit wasn't the best, and we didn't have a lot of money, and we were able to buy that house and start raising our family. And the FHA loan has helped several other families do the same. In today's video, we're going to talk all about what an FHA loan is, what it's not, what are the pros and cons, and about how by the end of the video, you're going to see whether an FHA loan is right for you. Okay, so what is an FHA loan? An FHA loan is a loan underwritten by a lender which is insured by the FHA. Now, the FHA themselves don't loan the money. They insure against loss. So they're able to offer such attractive terms to borrowers with less than perfect credit as well as not a lot of money as well. So in order to incentivize our downside risk, the lenders need some assurance, and the FHA mortgage insurance premiums that are on these loans help to mitigate that risk. So that's what the FHA mortgage insurance does. It allows everybody in the FHA program in order to get these attractive rates and great programs. All right, so what are the requirements of an FHA loan? Generally, if you're from 579 down to 500 FICO, it's a minimum of 10% down. So if you have a 580 or above, you can put down 3.5%. That's for down payment. Those are minimum requirements. So you're required to make that minimum down payment of 3.5% if you are over 580, or below 580, it's 10%. Debt to income ratios. FHA has one of the most lenient debt to income ratios. For certain FICO scores, I can go as high as 57% back end ratio. Generally, it's that front end ratio. We want to try to be around 40%. But as a general rule of thumb, we look at 50%, kind of half of your gross monthly income is kind of like the maximum. In some cases, with certain profiles, we're able to go up to 57%. So it's a very good program. The FHA also requires steady income and employment history. So you have to have explain gaps in employment. You need a good 2-year history in order to qualify. Any long-term gaps have to be explained in certain wait times. If you're self-employed, you have to have your tax returns have to show income. So you can't be self-employed and write off all your expenses and have no documentable income to the IRS, because ultimately, the IRS and the FHA are federal government entities. They kind of work together in cahoots to kind of write the guidelines. So if you're self-employed, you're going to have to show your income. FHA loans can only be used for primary residences. You can't buy investment properties or vacation houses with an FHA. And you can only have one FHA loan at a time as well. In fact, when my wife and I, actually, we sold our house with an FHA loan, and then we went to another FHA loan just right down the street. And we were pregnant with our twin boys. And we'd actually send the ultrasound to the underwriter in order to authorize an FHA loan. So they're very stringent about that. You can only have one FHA loan at a time, and then you have to explain, you have to be in extreme distance in order to use your next FHA loan. Okay, so what is the process of getting an FHA loan? Basically, it's the same as, coming to me, you do my online application. It's just one of the options that I provide. So a lot of times I can do FHA versus conventional. I've done other videos on the channel about that. So it all depends on your qualifying. So I look at your profile, your income, credit, assets available, what your situation is, and everybody's different. So an FHA is just an option, and many times it can be a better option because usually the rate's lower, the minimum requirement is lower versus conventional. But again, it all depends on your situation whether it's right for you. So the process is you just apply for a mortgage just normally after you talk to me, and I'll lay out the options. I use a system called Mortgage Coach. I lay out options side by side. So here's conventional, here's FHA, or if you're a veteran like me, you get a VA. And sometimes those loans, and then I make the decision up to you. I give my advice, and then based on your particular goals, then we execute. And many times an FHA is a great option for a first-time home buyer. So what are the pros of an FHA loan? First and foremost is a low down payment, 3.5%. And also I have many programs. FHA is 100% financing, so you can basically get your down payment paid for. If you get some concessions from the seller, it can almost be no money out of pocket. So definitely give me a call if you have any questions about that. So the low down payment requirement and the availability of multiple down payment assistance programs, help make FHA a fantastic program. So the ability to use gift funds. You can have 100% of your down payment gifted to you by a relative or even your employer. So that can be incentivization for a new job. You can pay for your new home as far as your down payment at 3.5%. So it can be 100% gifted to you. Also, a higher debt to income allowance. So if you have some student loans or car payments and things of that nature kind of weighing you down, how about you going into an FHA loan could have you qualify for that new home, because it has, again, that 57% maximum on debt to income versus usually conventional 50% or below. For many years, the FHA program was really stunted as far as the loan amounts. I mean, they were at 271 for years, but now the loan amounts have really gotten bigger. So I know here in St. Lucie County, it's really right around $500,000. I think it's like 500,000 and change. Other areas I researched throughout Florida, it's just a shit under $500,000. So the FHA loan has finally increased their maximum loan amounts, because that was really a big negative against conventional loans, where the conventional is now at 729. Whereas FHA is right there, still less than conventional, but it's still not as big of a gulf as it was before. And then also in certain high-cost counties, I know that there's a lot in Virginia and California, you have jumbo FHA loans, to account for those unique counties which have higher property values. One of the biggest ones that I've done is the ability to buy multifamily with 3.5% down. So this is a strategy I've talked about in my house hacking video here, about how you can acquire a 4-unit building, live in 1 unit, rent out the other 3 sides, and use that income from those 3 sides to qualify for that 4-unit property. So it's a fantastic way for you to acquire investment property, even though you're buying an owner-occupied property. Also FHA has its own streamline option, has its own unique refinancing opportunities. So many times we'll just do a straight FHA to FHA refinance. You can get reimbursed the funding fee, and you can do that. Or you can do a streamline refinance, once rates come down, if that ever does happen. So today's interest rates, are a little bit higher, but as rates come down and you need to refinance just for lower payment, they have streamline options. Okay, so what are the cons of an FHA loan? There are a few. First and foremost is the fees, basically the funding fee. It's 1.75% that you finance into the loan, and on a bigger loan, it can be significant. So basically, there's a base loan and a gross loan. So your gross loan is your funding fee added on top of it, and that funding fee you don't pay in cash, you finance it. But it increases your overall payment, and of course, that is a detriment. So that funding fee is a requirement, but it's also a benefit because it helps everybody else, because that funding fee goes to the FHA to fund the mortgage insurance premiums, which keep the entire program solvent and able to offer you and everybody else that lower rate and lower payment in an FHA loan scenario. So and also there's also monthly mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. Now for years I've been doing mortgages for a while. I saw it as high as 1.15%. Just recent changes in 2023, it's lowered to 0.55%, and that's a significant change. For years and years it was 0.8%, but it's for the life of the loan. So that monthly mortgage insurance is for the life of the loan, unless you put down 10%, and then it falls off after 11 years. So again, that monthly mortgage insurance is not like conventional, where it's based off 78% of value. The FHA monthly mortgage insurance premium is all for the life of the loan. Another big con, of course, is condos. Now, and FHA has really tried to make condos available. I know Florida has a lot of condo complexes. The FHA rules state the entire complex has to be FHA approved, but many times the HOAs don't approve enough reserves, to make it worth it. In fact, I've only done 1 condo complex in the entire state of Florida that was approved, and I actually got to do 1 loan in there. But I went and checked that recently, and even that complex is no longer available. So they have what are called spot condo approvals, and you can do it on a one-off basis. But again, that HOA has to have enough reserves and has to be the perfect conditions. It's just I really wish condos were easier than they are, because I think they're a fantastic option for first-time home buyers with no kids. They can live in a complex, have amenities. But as of right now, that is definitely a con. It's condos, especially here in Florida. Another con is limited to primary residences. So if you're trying to buy a second home or your pre-retirement, you can't use an FHA loan. You're gonna have to go conventional and put a lot more money down. So that's definitely a drawback. It's only for primary residences. Okay, if you're in the market for an FHA loan, you can definitely give me a call. All my contact information is down below. You can book a call with me. We kind of go over your options, see if an FHA loan is right for you. I'm licensed in Florida and Georgia. I'd love to help your family next. At this point in the video, you're probably wondering what other cool videos we have here on the channel about mortgages. So YouTube wants you to watch this video right here.